Good day, everyone. It is Woodcraft by Scott. I wanted to do a video this morning about getting your blade aligned properly for doing puzzles. This was an idea that one of my puzzle zombies came up with and suggested I do a video on, and it was a great idea. I'm shocked I hadn't thought of it before. There's so many questions when folks are initially getting started with puzzles. They enjoy making them, and then all of a sudden their puzzle pieces do not slide in and out from both directions, and it is incredibly frustrating. I know it, I've lived it, I've done it. I've gone through the trials and tribulations of figuring out how to get the blade exactly perpendicular to the table. And here's the secret: don't worry about perfectly perpendicular. I'm going to show you in just a moment that my current saw, I'm using a Delta currently. I had a friend of mine locally decide he was going to do some scrolling, changed his mind, and so he sold me this one. I'm using it until I wear it out. For those not familiar with me, I wear a DeWalt out about every 15 to 18 months. So I'll use this Delta, and I'm going to go back to the DeWalt. So I got a couple of specific personal reasons I'll be happy to share eventually. But for this video, let's focus on the blade. Obviously, I've got mine set up exactly right, so I'm not going to adjust anything live because I don't want to throw it off. Key thing that I want to point out, there is on the DeWalt and the Delta, obviously the ability to tilt the table. You can't go by the exact 0-degree measurement on that. You also cannot use a small T-square or angle. I know people that just, go crazy thinking 100% sure that their blade is exactly perpendicular. And here's what I'm going to show you. Now, I don't have a small square to use, so I'm using a business card. I drew a perfectly perpendicular line on this card. And what I wanted to show is that, and I hope it'll show up on the video, is that the line that I drew is not exact with the blade, all right? And this is just to show you that don't worry about the blade being perfect. What's going to wind up happening is it might be at a slight angle. That's okay, because as you're cutting, you're putting stress on the blade. It is going to angle it slightly. What I'm going to suggest to you is simply adjust the table little by little, either left or to the right, until you find that sweet spot. And again, it is trial and error. The testing that I do, and I'm going to try to set my camera up here so that you can see this and watch me as I cut. I do some just basic cuts in scrap wood. There's also one other test that I can do. Give me a moment as I mount my camera. And we'll see how this comes out. There's two tests. One is you can make a very simple cut, not too deep. So that you've got just a cut. Flip the wood over. Now, some say to go back into that exact same spot and that exact same line. Personally, I like to go just a little bit off and make another cut right next to it. And what this will show you, and again, let me see if I can get this to show up on the video. These two lines should be exactly evenly spaced top to bottom, and that'll help to determine whether or not your blade is set properly. The other test, obviously, is just with some scrap wood, is make some test puzzle piece connectors. Doesn't matter about size, doesn't matter about shape. Again, the test is bring it up and out and down and out. As long as you've got equal spacing, and what I'll do is I'll test for the little bit of wiggle room at the very bottom and then again at the very top, oops, to see if I've got equal spacing throughout the entire piece. And again, as long as you're able to come in and out from both sides, you have found that sweet spot. Again, the best way and the easiest way to tweak it is to adjust the table tilt using the mechanism based on your saw and just making very small incremental changes until you find that perfect spot. It's really that simple. Again, get away from whether or not the blade is perfectly perpendicular, making sure that everything is perfect. Throw that out the window, you'll drive yourself crazy. I personally am someone that expects everything to be exact. And it took me a while to finally break myself from doing that. Every time I set up a new saw, I know that I'm starting from scratch. It may take me 15, 20, 30 minutes to find that sweet spot. But once I do and I get it locked in, I'm good to go. And that's that simple.